One of the biggest questions of the offseason: what happens to DeMarcus Walker? Walker, a 2-year starter on the defensive line, is in the hot seat. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler recently pointed out that the Bears could release him and free up $5.25 million in cap space. It's a lot of money for a team looking to reshape its roster under new head coach Ben Johnson. Let's break it all down. Why would the Bears consider cutting Walker? What does he bring to the team? And what's next if they do move on? First, let's talk about Walker's impact. Over the last 2 seasons, he's been durable, playing in every game and starting 29 of them. His numbers? Respectable. He's averaged 3.5 sacks per season, with 8 tackles for loss and 16 quarterback hits per year. And here's the kicker: he's versatile. Walker has played both defensive end and defensive tackle, making him a valuable chess piece on the line. Walker has been one of the most consistent defensive linemen on the team. He's not a superstar, but he's a guy who does his job. He brings experience, leadership, and a work ethic that coaches love. But in the NFL, it's not just about what you bring to the table, it's about whether your production matches your price tag. And that's where things get tricky. Walker's cap hit for 2025 is nearly $6 million. That's not a massive number by NFL standards, but it's significant when you consider the Bears' needs. If the Bears release him, they save $5.25 million while only taking on $700,000 in dead money. That's a clean, easy move. More cap space means more flexibility in free agency. Chicago has a ton of holes to fill, and every dollar matters. They need offensive line help. They need to solidify their secondary. They need more pass rushing depth. If cutting Walker helps them address those areas, it might be a move they have to make. Walker was brought in under the previous coaching staff. Now, with a new head coach in Ben Johnson and a new defensive coordinator in Dennis Allen, things could change. Every coaching staff has its preferences when it comes to personnel. Just because Walker fit in Matt Eberflus's system doesn't mean he's the perfect fit for Allen's scheme. Allen is known for an aggressive, attacking defense. He likes players who can disrupt plays and create turnovers. Does Walker fit that mold? Maybe. But if the Bears think they can get better production from a different player, they won't hesitate to make a move. If the Bears release Walker, who steps up? Right now, the Bears need help at both defensive end and defensive tackle. Losing Walker means losing a guy who can do both. That's not ideal unless they have replacements lined up. They do have some young talent on the roster. Austin Booker, a 5th-round pick from 2024, has shown promise. Dominique Robinson is another young player who has flash potential. But are they ready to take on a bigger role? That's the big question. If the Bears cut Walker, they'll likely look to add a veteran in free agency or a rookie in the draft. This year's draft class has some solid defensive line prospects, and with the Bears holding multiple high draft picks, they'll have options. Speaking of free agency, let's talk about the defensive linemen who are available. If the Bears move on from Walker, they'll need to replace him. Some intriguing names are set to hit the market, and the Bears have the cap space to make a splash. One potential target, Danielle Hunter, the Vikings' star edge rusher, is a free agent, and he would be a massive upgrade for Chicago's pass rush. He won't come cheap, but if the Bears want to invest in an elite player, he's an option. Other names to watch include Leonard Floyd, who has experience in Chicago, and Jonathan Greenard, a rising star from Houston. If the Bears can land a player like that, moving on from Walker makes even more sense. The Bears also have the NFL draft as a tool to improve their defensive line. With multiple picks in the top 50, they could target a defensive lineman early. Some of the top prospects include Dallas Turner from Alabama, Jer'Jon Newton from Illinois, and Laiatu Latu from UCLA. If Chicago drafts a young, high-upside pass rusher, keeping Walker around might not make sense. Rookies come cheaper, and the Bears could use the extra cap space elsewhere. But let's play devil's advocate for a moment. What if the Bears decide to keep Walker? Why would that make sense? For one, depth matters. Injuries happen. If the Bears cut Walker and then suffer an injury on the defensive line, they might regret it. Having a guy who can play multiple positions is valuable. Second, continuity matters. The Bears are already going through a lot of change this offseason. Keeping some familiar faces around could help with team chemistry and leadership. And finally, Walker isn't a bad player. He's solid, he's dependable, he's not a game changer, but he's a guy you can count on. If the Bears think they can afford to keep him, it might make sense to let him play out his contract. So what's going to happen? Will the Bears move on from DeMarcus Walker, or will they keep him for one more season? Right now, it feels like it could go either way. If the Bears find a better option in free agency or the draft, Walker could be gone. But if they don't, he might stick around for one more year. One thing's for sure, this offseason is going to be wild. With over $74 million in cap space, the Bears are in a prime position to make serious moves. But every decision matters. Cutting Walker might be just the beginning of a much larger overhaul. So, Bears fans, what do you think? Should Chicago move on from DeMarcus Walker? Or is he worth keeping around for one more season? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget, free agency is right around the corner. Buckle up, because things are about to get interesting at Hallis Hall. Looking beyond 2025, the Bears need to consider their long-term defensive strategy. Are they building around young talent, or are they trying to win now? With cornerstone pieces like Montez Sweat locked in, they need complementary players who fit their future vision. Walker's veteran presence is valuable, but does he align with the team's trajectory? If the Bears want sustained success, they'll need a balance of youth and experience. Cutting Walker might be a move toward developing younger players with higher upside. On the other hand, keeping him could provide leadership and stability as they transition into a new era. The next few months will shape the Bears' defensive identity. Whatever happens, fans should expect calculated decisions aimed at positioning the team for long-term success. Stay tuned, because the Bears front office is just getting started.